I am here, I am there. You think I've gone, I'm everywhere. Your special friend, right to the end. I'm epilepsy. I'm your smile, upside down. You might say I'm your frown. I'm your scary circus clown. I'm epilepsy. Bite on this, give me a spoon. Some people say that it's the moon. How many names, how many faces you see? Go hard as they try, I'm not for saying goodbye. But from now, we'll see you later from me. Alright. I am here, I am there. You think I've gone, I'm everywhere. Your special friend, right to the end. I'm epilepsy. I'm your smile. I'm your smile, upside down. You might say I'm your frown. I'm your scary circus clown. I'm your frown. I'm your scary circus clown. I'm epilepsy. Clown. I'm epilepsy. Bite on this, give me a spoon. Some people say that it's the moon. How many names, how many faces you see? Go hard as they try, I'm not for saying goodbye. But from now, we'll see you later from me. I am here, I am there. You think I've gone, I'm everywhere. Your special friend, right to the end. I'm epilepsy. I'm your smile, upside down. You might say I'm your frown. I'm your scary circus clown. I'm epilepsy. Bite on this, give me a spoon. Some people say that it's the moon. How many names, how many faces you see? Go hard as they try, I'm not for saying goodbye. But from now, we'll see you later from me. Alright. I am here, I am there. You think I've gone, I'm everywhere. Your special friend, right to the end. I'm epilepsy. I'm your smile, upside down. You might say, I'm your friend, I'm your scary circus clown, I'm epilepsy. Bite on this, give me a spoon. Some people say that it's the moon. How many names, how many faces you see? Go hard as they try, I'm not for saying goodbye, but from now, we'll see you later from me. Alright. I am here, I am there. You think I've gone, I'm everywhere. Your special friend, right to the end. I'm epilepsy. Hi.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm very well, and you?
Good. I want to let everybody know that this is Guy W. Stoker. We have known each other for a long
A
time.
long time, yes. Many
Yes.
years.
And I am just amazed with your music. And
Thank you.
every time you post it, I have been online. It's just, and now I have the caption underneath. Hopefully, it's
Yeah,
playing on YouTube so they could read it because the music
yeah, yeah,
is, they need to hear or be able to know the words
yeah,
to the
yeah.
songs
That's
because,
it. Yeah, very
yeah,
important.
I enjoyed it. And we're going to have some of the other music, but
Hmm.
let me know how you write or about definitely the song that we listened to then.
Yeah. Well, this album, which is called Purple Universe,
Mhm.
all started out following a conversation with a lady in Pasadena called Sandra Cruz. Now, some of you might be familiar with Dr. Julie Thompson Dobkin, who runs the organization Hidden Truths Project,
Mhm.
and which is an epilepsy arts organization on a global scale. And a few months back, Julie invited Sandra Cruz to talk about her musical called Abby Normal, which was a musical she'd written about epilepsy. And that immediately got my attention. And
Yes.
I thought, I've never written a musical about epilepsy yet, and I'm not familiar with anybody else who has until now. So I listened to the show, and what I found particularly interesting about Abby Normal was that she actually gave a personification or a personality, if you like, to the epilepsy, which is something I hadn't come across before, because quite a
Yeah.
lot of people saying about epilepsy, but you'll really struggle to find an example where it's the epilepsy addressing the person. And I thought that was a really interesting musical flip, if you like. So I wrote a track which did exactly that, and I sent it to Sandra Cruz, and she immediately sent me a message back and said, "Let's talk," you know.
Wonderful.
So we spoke for about 45 minutes, and then she said, "I'd very much like to work with you," and I said, "Likewise." So that was the spark that that kind of started this album, Purple Universe. But what's really important about this album is that it doesn't only, unlike previous pieces of music that I've written, it goes beyond the headline of seizure, because
Yeah.
as you will appreciate yourself, there is so much more, so many more issues to epilepsy than simply seizure.
Hmm.
So, whilst I'd addressed some of the seizure issues in the previous album from 2010, Ictal Variations, this time round I wanted to focus more on the personal experience of epilepsy. And also, one of the other characteristics of the song that you've just played a snippet from, called I'm Your Epilepsy, is because it's in a jazz big band style,
Yeah.
it's it's the last thing you would expect of a song about the experience of epilepsy. So,
Yeah.
you know,
If you don't tell someone that you have epilepsy, I find out, like, if I'm speaking in a group and I tell them what to expect if I'm going to have one, then I don't find out from anybody else that they have had it until I bring it up.
no,
So,
that's very, very true.
yeah.
And the same is true with the song "Surrounded in Isolation," because the inspiration for that is that if you look on social media, how many people around the world who live with epilepsy say, "I feel very much alone,"
Hmm.
you know? Yet in reality, we're absolutely anything but, because there's at least 65 million
Yeah.
people with epilepsy. So how can 65 million people possibly be alone? Yes, yeah, it's
Right.
kind of like an oxymoron, really, you know. Um, and what sparked that was, there's a page on Instagram called Brain Ablaze, which is epilepsy support, and it's managed by a fellow called David. And I was in one of his meetings, support meetings, and there was a young lady on from upstate New York, and she's in her 20s, and she's a singer and an actress, and an extremely good one at that. And it was the first time she'd been there, and she said, I feel very much alone. And I actually got straight in touch with her after the meeting and said, alone is actually the very last thing you are.
They were,
You know, there are so many of us around the world who have epilepsy, but yet, as the oxymoron again, so few of those 65 million people talk about it outside of the epilepsy community, you
right.
know, because obviously I'm talking to you about epilepsy and you're talking to me about epilepsy because we both have experience of epilepsy.
Hmm.
But if you were talking to somebody else who didn't, chances are you might not feel confident enough to actually raise that subject. You know?
That's something we have
Uh,
to spread to the other people
it
because,
certainly is, and I mean, how powerful a tool for spreading the word is music.
yeah.
You know,
But
uh,
what
I've
you
said to
do.
people recently that it's a very powerful yet very underexposed tool
Hmm.
spreading the word about epilepsy. Um, you'll find millions of artists around the world who
Yeah.
paint or draw about their experience of living with epilepsy. But if you try and find a composer or a songwriter who who describes their experience of living with epilepsy, good luck. You know, uh, that's kind of where I'm kind of championing my own corner, so to speak. Yeah.
Right.
Uh, there,
You
there are,
and what you've done with your music is amazing. And um, I can see, do you want to play another one? Um,
yeah. Let them hear "Surrounded in Isolation" because that was the one that I just
okay.
mentioned. But the before you press play, the other key thing is that a lot of the issues that are discussed in this album um, are not exclusively issues within the epilepsy community. Things like isolation and anxiety, and depression and discrimination in the workplace, and
Right.
social stigma, and all of those things are applicable to a whole myriad of other issues such as addiction and things like that, you know. So those words in those songs can actually say, yes, that's me, to a massive population of people, uh, as well as the epilepsy population. And that's something I was very mindful of as I was writing the album.
That's great. I'm going to type in the name of this one. You want it surrounded by isolation.
In
That way, people
isolation.
will know um, what we're listening to, and if they
Yeah.
want to pull it up. But let me go
It's
ahead and
actually surrounded in isolation.
in isolation. I'm
Yeah.
sorry,
Surrounded in
in
isolation.
isolation. I'll change that.
Yeah.
Let's see if I need to turn it up. Can you hear that?
I can, yes.
Okay. Let me change it.
It's building as one voice and another voice and another voice and another voice and another voice.
Surrounded in isolation, together we stand alone. The invisible group and the faceless voice on the other end of the phone. You talk a secret language, then you try to explain. You try to put it simply, but your efforts are in vain. Modern world sees progress, but not in every way. Some stereotypes are ancient, and that's the way they'll stay. So I'm sure we'll be united in a solitary home. We're surrounded in isolation, and together we stand alone.
Yeah, so you
I
can
did.
pause it there, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So there you go. That's the first half of that song. So united in our I'm sure we'll be united in our solitary moment. So we're all saying the same thing. It's
Yeah.
just that we're all saying it separately. So therefore, because we're saying it separately, we get a sense that it's only us who are saying it. You
Yeah.
know. Thank you, Sally. Glad you like it. And it's really good being able to see the comments as they come up.
And
Um,
yeah, I was typing a little bit here on my phone.
yeah, so and I think it's, as I say, I think therefore it highlights the how important and useful a tool music is, because people might not want to sit there or stand there and listen to me talking about my experience of having seizures and not being able to get a job and
Oh, yeah.
having to be driven around by other people and what have you, which they can hear from so many people, that it kind of almost, unfortunately, becomes yeah, yeah, I know, yeah, heard that. Whereas by putting it into an artistic medium, such as songwriting, they can listen to the song and think, oh yeah, yeah, I get that. Yeah, I understand where that's coming from. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
totally me. You know.
Oh, yeah.
So therefore, by using it in songwriting format, it changes the platform. It doesn't change what you're saying. It changes how you're saying it and
Yeah.
makes it more accessible.
When we were
And the
talking
thing is, it's
beforehand.
funny because even people who, for whom English isn't their first language, can still latch on to songs in English. And
Right.
as I was saying to somebody last week, at the end of the day, it's important to remember that yes, I'm a native English speaker, you're a native English speaker,
Hmm.
but actually within the epilepsy global community, there are so many languages,
Hmm.
and that's one of the reasons why the global figure is kind of a guess, really. It says 65 million, but that's 65 million that we know of. I was reading a
True.
paper. I was reading a paper the other day on the state of epilepsy in Bulgaria, in subgroups of Bulgaria, and some of them don't know what epilepsy is. They don't have a word for that experience, and others believe that rather than it being a medical condition, it's a
That.
sign of religious punishment.
Hmm.
Um, and others believe that whilst tonic-clonic seizures are this condition, this medical condition, non-convulsive seizures, they think, are purely down to mental health.
Right. And it's sad because I had a friend who got kicked out of their church because they thought he was possessed.
Yes, yes.
And that's
Not,
sad for it to be here because it's in other countries,
yeah. I
but they
mean,
don't
not
know
all
about it.
that long ago, a young boy went to summer camp and he had a seizure at summer camp, and the camp counselor tried to exorcise him,
Oh, wow.
and that's in not too far in the past. That's in recent years that happened.
Mm,
So we are still an awful long way
mm,
from getting the word out there properly and fully and making it totally understood. Uh, but the more we do say it and the more we do shout it from the rooftops, etc., uh, the more of a chance, a sporting chance we have of actually getting that word out there. And obviously, my medium of getting the word out there is through music. So that's what Purple Universe is doing. And I'll tell you the story as to why it's called Purple Universe.
okay.
A young lady who has an Instagram page as well was describing the amount of neurons in her brain and the amount of dendrites, the connectors, if you like,
Mhm.
per neuron. So therefore, she said the amount of connection points in the human brain is like a universe.
Oh,
And I thought, I love
wow.
that. I thought I
Yes.
really, really like that description. So I thought, yes, Purple
Yes.
Universe. And
That is, I like that.
yeah,
How you
it's,
thought
it's
about
it's
that.
really,
'Cause,
really great. Yeah. Yeah, I said
uh-huh.
the amount of connection points within the human brain is like a universe, you know. And I thought, what a brilliant idea. That's
Yes.
just fantastic. So,
I've
the
never thought of it like that, but
design,
that is great.
so therefore the design of the album cover is a combination. It's like a layered image. So you have the human brain,
Hmm.
you have the world seen from space, and you have a piano, uh, and all of those things juxtaposed on top of each other. So therefore, it's kind of telling you in a nutshell what this is.
Yeah,
And,
I like that. I know
yeah,
that's and then name it like that.
yeah.
And so, what if you want to go back with music and it working with Susan
Sandra Cruz.
Sandra? Sorry, Sandra.
Yeah.
Um, what will you? Yeah, the music will be part of the program, or somebody will be
Yes,
playing you, or
that was the idea. Was originally we were working around the idea of it being in musical
mm,
format, so that so therefore the first track and the last track are in musical structure, and and then as time went on, she said, "Well, actually, I'd like to use it in sort of for a TV miniseries and include the songs from the album." So that kind of slightly shifted my composer perspective ever so slightly. So therefore, the songs are more kind of open-ended in terms of media outlet. You know, they can be within a musical context if they want to, but equally they can stand on their own 2 feet. You know?
okay,
Uh,
that's a great way
so
to
it
look at
could
it.
be that as a scene is changing, or as the credits are going up, or somebody's experiencing X, Y, or Z, that's where the song would come in.
That's I look forward to finding out about that when it's going to be on,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
when.
it's
Yeah.
it's it's going to be exciting to do that. And I thought for those who won't have access to the series, if it does become a mini series, then they can still access the music
Mm-hmm.
thereof. Uh-huh. And I'm going to the ILA Congress in Lisbon at the end of August. And so I've been telling pretty much everybody I can possibly find who will have representatives there. Here I am. You know, this
Uh-huh.
is it. This is what it is. You know,
Yeah.
talk to me. You know.
Invite you to whenever, like when they have awards for miniseries and things. So
Yeah,
invite you
but
because being in the music.
also to make their community aware of this tool. You know, because at the moment, anybody in, say, for example, Sweden
Mhm.
doesn't know who I am. They've never heard of me. They might be living with epilepsy, but have absolutely no idea that there's an album about the experience of living with epilepsy. Same goes for Germany, Spain, Italy, France, Belgium, the Netherlands, Iceland, and all of those places. So therefore, that's why I'm kind of waving my banner as
Mhm.
madly as humanly possible to all of those places, and saying, actually, if people want something to latch onto about the wider experience of epilepsy aside from seizures, then here it is. You know,
There you go. Well, people in my area in North Carolina know about you
and I
because I
mean,
tell them it's amazing what you write and your
thank you.
voice.
And in terms of how I write, mostly I will get a lyric line first, That tends to be the way it comes. I will get a lyric line first, and then I'll just follow that down the page, and I might redraft it once or twice. But as long as once I read it from top to bottom, and I can think that says what I wanted to say, and that's the really key thing. For example, one which isn't on the list today, but Wishing Well, which is actually on my Bandcamp page now as a kind of taster, if you like, is about the experience of needing another person, you know, being tired of constantly being tired of being tired, you know?
Right.
Wanting to have as close to, even though in psychology terms they will tell you there's no such word as normal, as having as close to a normal life as possible.
Yeah.
You know, I'll just try and pull this this up from my end if I can.
Sure.
I might have to do it on my iPad. The things of modern day technology. So yeah, Wishing Well. Yeah, I'll read this to you. So, I'm tired of being lonely. I'm tired of being tired. I'm tired of lying in this bed so my head can be rewired. Does anyone know the answer or a hope that they can tell? Because I've thrown out all my hopes and dreams into the wishing well. Cheer up, they tell me all the time, it really could be worse. But looking like I'm doing fine could also be a curse. I'm sure they wouldn't say those things if they only knew that their meaning wells and throwaways can hurt me like they do. Can you come and take me by the hand now and take me to the sun? Can you take me from existing to where life has just begun? Can you make me feel that I'm the one you really want to know? Can you take me in your loving arms and kiss me soft and slow? 'Cause I'm tired of being so lonely. I'm tired of being tired. I'm tired of lying in this bed so my head can be rewired. Does anyone know the answer or a hope that they can tell? 'Cause I've thrown out all my hopes and dreams into the wishing well. Yes, I've thrown out all my hopes and dreams into the wishing well.
That's deep.
Yeah.
I like it, but it's so true.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Mhm.
It's the album is entirely based on truth and reality. So it's not just a case of going like that and saying, "Oh, that's a seizure."
Hmm.
You know, it's actually gone much more beyond the word seizure and looking at the reality. You know, if
Uh-huh.
you live with epilepsy, then everything I've just read out can ring 100% true.
It
It's
makes me know.
autobiographical in the sense that I wrote it and I've been there and I've had those feelings and those sensations and all the rest of it. But equally, I know that there's a huge amount of people out there who
Hmm.
will listen to that and say, yes, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So essentially, this is very much a Me Too album for the epilepsy community. That's a really important point to understand. That
Hmm.
it's not just this fella wearing a black T-shirt sitting in Paris saying this is what my epilepsy feels like.
Yeah.
It's more saying this is This is the reality of epilepsy. Whether it's me, you, anybody watching this now, or anybody even not watching, can still be validated by these experiences.
Sorry, my dog wanted to get by the cord. Um,
Yeah, they
and
say never work with children or animals.
well, I had him 3 years, and he started to know when I was going to have a seizure, and
All
he
right.
wasn't trained. So
No, no, they are amazing. Yeah,
yeah, I can't do anything. I mean, I have to have him around. It's amazing how what they
yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, he's 9 now, so he's getting up there.
All right.
Yeah.
And the other song that you mentioned that we talked about is "Know Me by Name." So you can maybe let people hear an extract of that as well. Then we'll talk about that as well.
Yeah, I have the so we just listen to Surrounded and Nicely. So here's Outside Looking In.
Outside looking in, right?
You want
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'll play
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah.
Am I on the outside looking in, or am I on the inside looking out? I open my mouth to say, but instead I scream and shout. Is this what it's gonna be now? A life that says I fell in doubt. Till I throw away the streamers and I blow my candles out.
Yeah. That's just the first verse of that one. And
Yeah.
so yeah, the issue there that I'm talking about, as you'll understand, is anger issues, which is very much a reality of living with epilepsy. Uh, Guilty, yeah.
That,
There's
me too. The first thing
yeah,
that came to my
there's
mind when I heard going to the mountains, and I just want to yell.
yeah, absolutely. There's
Hmm.
times when I can get so wound up over things that really, when you take a step back, you think there's nothing to get wound up about if you're looking at it from the outside. But when that release valve goes, it goes, you know.
Yeah.
And so, am I on the outside looking in or the inside looking out? You know, which perspective am I? You know,
Well, that is so true. Let me tell you. I mean, real quick.
yeah.
Mine aren't that bad.
Mm-hmm.
It only lasts a minute. I stare. Sometimes I've dropped things, but I have an aura where I can set things
Yeah,
down or sit
yeah.
down.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing with me, I don't drive.
Mm.
And so, how you have to make appointments or go to the store, stuff like that. And I get so upset about just not driving. But
Yes. Mm-hmm.
then being on Facebook, I see
Mm-hmm.
automatically comes up on my screen with some of the people that I'm with, friends with, or the groups I'm in. Somebody will talk about something worse that's
Mm-hmm.
happened to them and having to take
Yeah.
their shots, go to the hospital, and have one for 30 minutes to an hour, or have so many
Mm-hmm.
multiple ones for a whole
Yeah.
day. I think, Roxanne, you are so stupid. Complaining about not driving, and here, that's all I do. So, you know,
But at
that's just, I had to
at the
explain that.
same time, not being able to drive can be incredibly frustrating. Being, I mean, I'm 50 next week, and
Oh,
thank you. And if I wasn't Thankfully, I am able to drive now. I choose not to drive over here because of the way the traffic is over here. But from time to time, I do drive if I want to go somewhere. But it's simply having that option that, as somebody who's nearly 50, I don't have to say to somebody, "Hi, can you please take me here?" Or, "Hi, can you bring me back from there?" Or, "I need to go to meet this person. Can you pick me up or drop me off?" You know,
Yeah.
being in a position where I can just say, "Right, okay, I'm going,"
Uh-huh.
and going on my terms, you know, is
Yeah.
really vitally important. And a lot of people on the outside looking in don't really fully appreciate how important independence is, because quite often
Right.
you don't understand the importance of independence until you are not independent anymore. And when my seizures were very active, about 12 years ago now, something like that, I went very, very quickly from being somebody who could do their own thing anytime they want to being almost completely reliant on
Mhm.
other people. And when that switch happens like that,
Yeah.
it's a huge issue. So, whilst yes, there is a sense of community, that's very important. But when you get into your head that actually, yes, you want to be part of the community, but you don't want to be a reliant part of that community, that's where the trouble starts, you know.
Right.
Um, so that's what that song is kind of singing about. Am I on the outside looking in or the inside looking out?
Uh-huh.
And it's also about how you fit in within uh, society as well. Are you on the outside looking in at how society is just getting on with its own thing and
Mhm.
functioning very well without you? Thank you very much. Uh, or are you on the inside of the epilepsy world looking out at the outside world who don't have the first clue what you're
Right.
experiencing, you know?
Yeah.
So actually within that first verse, there's rather a lot of things to unpick, you know. And the line, "Is this what it's going to be now? A life of self-fulfilling doubt?" You know, is
Right.
again an extremely powerful line. You know,
I know.
uh,
Yes.
yeah,
Um,
and that that's why because the album is full of lines like that. That is one of the reasons why I'm extremely happy with this album, uh, because it's littered with lines like that. Outside
mhm.
looking in, inside looking out, know me by name, ride the wave, all of those things, all of those songs have so many identifiable features within the lyrics of them that essentially the music is just carrying the words through. You know, I, I would
That's how
say
it'll
to me,
spread.
yeah,
Is
yeah, very much. You know,
the music behind the lyrics and
yeah,
people
the
learning them.
music is behind the lyrics, and for me, in most cases, the lyrics come first.
Hmm.
So then I know what I'm singing about, and I know the emotion, therefore. Uh,
Yeah.
so
You feel
therefore,
it in the music.
it's easier to construct music around existing lyrics for me than it is to create words around existing music. Some
Wow.
people write the other way around, but I mean, obviously, my biggest influence is Sir Elton John. That's the way he writes. He gets the lyrics first, and then he'll sit down and just create the music that matches those words. You know.
Well, that's interesting to know. Well, I wouldn't be able to write any music,
Well,
but
essentially, you say that, but there are tricks which would allow you to do so. I mean, you mentioned to me earlier that you like to play the piano when you get a chance.
mhm.
Um, and for those who wouldn't know one end of a piano from the other, quite frankly, but would really like to make a nice sound, one of the things they can do is use what's called the whole tone scale, which you might be familiar with. The whole tone scale is basically just all the black notes.
Mhm.
And if you improvise just only using the black notes, I'll give you an example here. I'm in my studio now. We're talking on my studio screen, which is where I tend to spend a lot of time. I don't know how much of that you can hear. What I'm going to do now is only use the black notes.
Okay. I couldn't hear that. If let's see.
So there, all I did was use the black notes.
That yeah. Um okay.
Yeah. So you can make a really very, very pretty sound just using the black notes. And
Well, like I told you too, I listen to music all through the day because of reading about um, calming you down or just your mind. I guess
mhm,
listening to it while you're doing something, just keeping it busy.
mhm,
But I like to watch the videos too, if it's
mhm,
where the piano has a solo in it,
yeah, mhm,
and watch them play.
mhm, yeah.
And it seems easy with the but how they
It's
came
like
up with that.
I say the same thing about chefs. You know, I mean, a very good friend of mine, Rob, is an executive chef, and he's cooked for the royal household and on the QE2 and venues such as that. I look at, well, I've tasted the stuff that he's created, and I look at his work, and I'm thinking, you make that look so in, insanely easy, and you know, I could burn water when it comes to my culinary skills. You know, I haven't got any at all. You know, but I greatly admire those who do. So
Yeah.
I know what you mean. But as I say, that is a little trick you could, by all means, try next time you're sat at the piano. Is
That's what my mom tells me.
just try just using the black note.
Okay.
And the other thing I'll say to people, because I've talked to many people about the process of composition, if you take any of the songs that you like or any of the pieces of music that you like, at the end of the day, all you are hearing is a selection of individual decisions stitched
Hmm.
together. That's all it is. And in that sense, that's a good model for how our life is to a certain extent. In a
Yeah.
24-hour period, what we are doing is is a collection of individual decisions.
Hmm.
And it works exactly the same way for the composition of music. So if I start with this note, I've made that decision that the first note of this piece is going to be this one. And then I say to you, where is the next one? Is it the same? Is
Okay.
it higher or is it lower? So
Okay.
where would you, just as an exercise, where would you like the next note to go from here?
How about lower?
Okay. Would you like to go there
Just
or there?
I'll have to try this out because it's amazing how you pointed that out. Um, just the black keys.
Yeah.
Because I
So
was so used to when I was taught how to do the scales, and
yeah. Hmm.
but never just playing the black
Hmm.
notes.
Yeah. So there you go. And as I say, when you get the uh, when you get the idea of the blank page, um, from a composing perspective, and you think, oh my God, where do I even start?
Every good
As I
boy
say,
does
all you
fine.
need to do, all you need to do is just create one note, and then
Okay.
you've started, and then
Well,
everything else after that is just individual decisions,
I'm
and you
thinking
can change your mind, you know.
I'm thinking of how many black notes I'd play on Fury Lease. You know,
Mm,
because I mean, starting at the very beginning,
yeah,
you would do the E,
uh-huh,
but then you would go
yeah,
to the
to the E
E,
flat,
yeah, and then you would keep going, and then you would go back down to like, was it the B
yeah,
flat?
uh,
So
A,
you
yeah,
think of all those
uh-huh.
black keys.
So yeah, that is a approach to composing, is to not make it seem as big a task, as mountainous a task, that it doesn't actually need to be. But obviously, when you've got something such as I'm going to write an album, then it takes on a different perspective. And obviously, because I've had 33 years experience as a professional musician and as a songwriter for quite a large amount of that time as well, then obviously it becomes easier for me to do it. I could knock a song out quicker than somebody who doesn't have the
Like
same
me,
amount of experience. Yeah,
like me,
yeah, yeah. But
and
that
I'm going to
that
be.
doesn't but that doesn't mean to say that you can't. It would just probably take you more time.
Yeah, and you said you were going to be 50. I'm going to be 53. So, and
Oh
here I
well,
would start like that.
you've beaten me to it. Yeah, I'm always going to be catching up with you.
Yeah.
I might never get there, but I'll always be catching up. So, so yeah, there you go. That's a bit about the album and what I'm doing to try and spread the word about it. And obviously, when this interview becomes available on YouTube, then I will be passing it to other people as well and
Yeah.
saying, this is the interview I did with Roxanne on her page. And hopefully that will create some traffic in both
Yeah.
directions, you know?
That would be great
Hmm.
because uh, I'd want just to spread what the words are to your music and how it's going to be used now. Thank goodness, because
Mm.
in that short series that you're doing. But one thing I've wanted to try, I have reached out to Sesame Street because they
Right.
have an autistic child
Right.
or Muppet.
Hmm.
But I've tried to reach out there. I did get a response saying that thank you for reaching out and all, but nothing really. A
Word salad.
response email. But I think there ought to be a child or a Muppet that would have seizures. But maybe one of these days.
Yeah, it's not impossible. But the other thing that a lot of people, when they look at or discuss epilepsy in the media, is that um, media who do tackle the subject of epilepsy in general only portray one kind of seizure, that
Hmm.
being tonic-clonic seizures.
Yeah.
And of course, as you know and as I know, there's around about 40 different types.
Yeah.
Uh, like most people also only have heard of photosensitivity as a trigger, when in fact it only affects about 3 to 4%.
It doesn't affect my epilepsy. It just gives me a headache.
Yeah, I mean,
And
I underwent the tests and I'm not photosensitive. Um, and neither are about 97% of the epilepsy population either.
hmm
You know,
yeah,
yeah,
there's just a lot that needs to be taught,
yeah,
or
mhm,
just
yeah. I mean, that is why
there's
one of the reasons in the first song that you played, um, "I'm Your Epilepsy," part of that is kind of highlighting the myths and the misconceptions. Because one of the lines is, "Bite on this, give me a spoon." Some people say that it's the moon. You know,
yeah.
it's and they're all true. You know, they're stories I've heard because I talk to people from mostly from the US several times a week, of an older generation than us,
Hmm.
more retired people. And they will tell me in most cases, if that does come up in the discussion, that they don't actually know
Right.
what to do if somebody has a seizure. They will tell me that when they were little, they were told if Johnny has a seizure, put a spoon in his mouth,
So he
you
won't
know.
swallow his tongue or something.
Exactly. And one lady from Florida the other day actually said to me, she was told to put a ruler in the person's mouth. And I was just,
Oh
what?
my.
Yeah. I
You
was
saw
like,
my jaw drop when I heard
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, mine did that, exactly that as well. It's just
Wow.
absolutely crazy. So yeah, we have got a long way to go, but hopefully projects such as Purple Universe will go towards actually spreading that word and to saying to the 65 million people plus around the world, whether they're English speaking or they're not, it's not just you, it's us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And
that's the message.
the other people in continents that don't speak English, they know music.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
make their own music,
yeah,
and hopefully, you know, um, they'll be able to, tell, figure out the words. I mean,
yeah.
somehow,
Mhm.
because
E- I mean, even with Google Translate now,
true,
yeah,
true.
yeah, or other translatable platforms, uh, then they can look at those words and think, yeah, I totally get that,
Hmm.
100%. So there
Yeah.
you are, uh,
Oh,
and that
I'm
that
looking
wraps it up
forward.
nicely at exactly the hour point.
Well, I'm looking forward to being able to watch the miniseries whenever it comes out. If you'll keep
Yeah,
me up to date,
I
or
certainly will. Yeah, and I'll
or if
also
they
keep you up.
invite you to one of those little
Yeah.
places to get one of the,
An
I don't
award,
know what they
yeah,
give for
award
me.
ceremonies, yeah.
Oh,
Um, and I will equally keep you updated as to when the album is ready and out there. So if people want to keep adrift of what's happening, as I mentioned earlier,
yeah.
my
What was your
Instagram
Instagram?
page, yeah,
What was that
my
again?
Instagram is called which is at Purple Composer, all one word.
Okay.
And as I say, I will put a link to this interview on there as well once it's up.
I'm trying to type it in and I put a space and shouldn't have.
No, at Purple Composer.
Okay. Well, they have that on here.
Yeah.
Slowly. I'm checking my spelling as I go.
Uh-huh. I've lost
There we
you.
go. How's that?
Yeah, I've lost you for a moment.
Oh, maybe because I had
There you are. Yes, that's it.
okay, I had my phone in front of me, I guess. Maybe that's
No,
why.
I pressed the wrong button as well. I mean, it's just as well I don't work on the space shuttle program like somebody was talking to last week. Otherwise, there'd be dire consequences. Don't touch this button. What, you mean that one? Curiosity is not always the greatest.
Right,
Ally.
right.
Yeah, but yes, that's it. Instagram at
Okay.
Purple Composer, and yes. So thank you to those who are watching it.
Yeah,
And,
we've had a few people come in and out
yeah, and I
and
mean,
liked it.
feel free to reach out to me on Purple Composer if you'd like to learn more, and we'll see
Okay.
how things go and where things go. And as I say, once it's ready to press play, then I will definitely tell you all about it.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I want to thank you and being a good friend too and keeping me up to date with everything. And you hear my dog because something scary is outside.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I enjoy talking to you and everything that you've done and what else you can do. So, and talk to me about just trying to play all the purple notes, let it come
exactly.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
precisely. That's it.
The
As my
writing.
late great composing teacher Keith Morris said, in composing, there's no such thing as wrong because it hasn't been composed yet.
Okay. There you
Yeah.
go. And especially for people who have epilepsy that can write music the way they feel, what they feel, and
Yeah,
that's another thought. So thank you.
absolutely.
And
So
I'm
you
going
take
to,
care, and I
yeah.
will catch up with you very, very soon.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody that's watching or will watch later. I'm going to go ahead and end this, and we'll talk another day.
We
Thank
will
you.
indeed. Till the next time. Take care.
I am here, I am there. You think I've gone, I'm everywhere. Your special friend, right to the end. I'm epilepsy.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah. You still here?
I am here,
Yeah.
I am
that
there.
was really good.
You think I've gone, I'm everywhere. Your special friend, right to the end. I'm epilepsy. I'm